Okay, real quick, trigger warning. It's going to be a book review. I have a lot of things I want to say, but trigger warning. This book, Every Way Back to You, right here, Every Way Back to You does discuss a lot of different things such as abuse, physical and sexual, DV, and a lot of other things. If that is something that you may not be comfortable with, do not go any further, okay? Thank you. Hi everyone. Okay, so we're going to do a quick book review. As I implied earlier, I'm reading this book. This is Every Way Back to You by K.L. Briggs. Now, I want to make this disclaimer. So all you people, please listen. Don't tag the author. Don't at the author. Don't do anything like that. This is not an attack on the author. Right? My review is my opinion. This has nothing to do with the author. Okay? Okay? Okay. We good? Do you understand? Okay. Because I did not enjoy this book. I'm just going to keep it a buck with you. I did not enjoy this book. I would be generous and say it's a 2-star review. It's a 2-star book at most. Again, this is the cover of the book. I read it via Kindle Unlimited. But no, I have many issues. I have it written right here. Let me actually also pull up my notes app so you can also see my review. Okay? Because I typed up in my notes app. Okay, so I have it right here on my computer as well, but still. I mention that because let's get into it. So my first major review, my first major issue, the timeline makes no damn sense. Okay, first major example. Okay, chapter 1, we meet Eli for the very first time. No big deal. Chapter 2, we meet Rowan for the very first time. I assume, and clearly it takes place the very next day after meeting Eli based off of everything that has occurred. And by the way, Eli and Rowan are the main characters. Yes, it is Rowan or Rowan, not Roman. So if I say the wrong name, I apologize. Okay. Sorry, I just washed my face, shaved the whole 9 yards. I was looking way too disheveled. That's not the point. So chapter 2 again, we meet Rowan, but we also meet Marcus. Marcus is another key character. Keep that name locked away. He is important for later events. But again, we meet him. Him and Rowan are dating. This is also when we find out for the very first time, Rowan has had a major crush on Eli for years. They are childhood friends. They've known each other for years. Again, this all is mentioned to us in chapter 2. Chapter 3, Rowan goes to London to meet Eli and hang out with him for the weekend. That's the other thing. All this occurs in the United Kingdom, okay? In Britain, the United Kingdom, wherever. Now, exactly where Rowan lives, like their hometown, I do not remember. I do apologize. I couldn't find it in the book again, and I'm not looking again. I'm also don't care. But Rowan goes to London, hangs out with Eli for 1 day. That's the thing. He just stays the night. The very next day, chapter 4, Rowan goes home, back to their hometown, where he is also a teacher. Okay, that's chapters 1 through 4. Chapter 5 is where it starts to get really what the fuck with the timeline. Chapter 5 starts with Eli because it bounces perspectives between an Eli and a Rowan perspective. It bounces between the two. So Eli decides, you know what? London's just not for me right now. I'm going to go back to our hometown and hang out with Rowan. I'm going back. So Eli decides I'm going to go back to the hometown, hang out with Rowan. Just like that. He goes back, surprises Rowan, and Rowan's like, what the fuck? What are you doing here? Now, again, this is where it's weird. How much time has passed since Rowan left? Is it like the very next day? Is it a week later? Is it a month later? We don't know. We have no context. at all. So again, this is where it starts to get really confusing. Eli meets Rowan, but he also is surprised to meet Marcus for the very first time because Marcus was never mentioned at all. Eli goes to the hotel in town, checks in, and states he will be there for 1 week. He states this on page 31. Okay, let me find it real quick and I'll show you. Okay, so here it is. Right there. A week, I think, if you've got the space. Got the usual room available if you'd like. That's Eli talking to the receptionist at the hotel. No big deal, right? Eli doesn't state he's officially going to go home chapter-wise, like go back to London, until officially chapter 15. That has 10 chapters. So even if we go by, he's only there for 1 week, which again, that's the only thing we are led to believe. He is going to be there for 1 week. We had to assume that the next 10 chapters worth of content occurred in a case of 1 week. Now, this is where I want to state, and I'll put this in the beginning as well. So, 1 second. Okay, so let me state the trigger warnings again. This book touches on topics of abuse, again, physical and sexual. There's threatening, stalking, DV, a lot of different things that occurs within the book. So, real quick, alright, that stated, I'm going to go over some of the bullet points that occur in the 10 chapters. This is everything that occurs from chapter 5 through chapter 15. The alleged 1 week, Eli, also Elias, that he goes by Eli in the book. That's how the chapters show it. Let me show you. See, it says Eli. His real name is Elias. But again, this is everything that occurs in the 1 week he is supposed to be there, allegedly. Again, he travels to his hometown, meets Rowan and Marcus. Cool. Marcus starts to become more controlling over Rowan, limiting his interactions with Eli. In chapter 7, so this is a big touchstone, mind you, because this also is when it's kind of implied Eli's going home. But it's not the first time. It's like the very first time, but he doesn't actually do it. Chapter 7, Eli meets Rowan for dinner, but is shocked that Marcus joined because Marcus didn't want to feel left out. That's chapter 7. Chapter 8, Rowan and Marcus go home, I believe, to Marcus's apartment, and Marcus forces himself upon Rowan. What? This isn't the worst part, though, but this happens. That same chapter, this is chapter 8. In chapter 8, Marcus does that. Then in the second half of the chapter, Rowan and Marcus create a joint bank account after being together for only a couple months. Rowan and Eli are hardly communicating anymore, as Rowan does not meet Eli at any point due to the influence of Marcus, because Marcus is getting in Rowan's head. Marcus is happy that Eli hasn't been mentioned in days. What? Okay. In that same chapter that Marcus states he's so happy that Eli hasn't been mentioned. Rowan is slipped a little something in the wine, and Marcus has his way with him. You catch my drift? Against his will. Yeah, Rowan is graped and choked out using a belt. So his neck is now bruised with a belt buckle. We're at chapter 10. What? Okay, so that is chapter 10, where Rowan is graped. Okay? Then, this is where it gets wilder, because there's still more. Somehow, Rowan, in all this, mind you, within a week, he somehow was able to get lab work done to find out what happened to him, but it doesn't say what kind of lab work was done. He got tests run. I don't know if it was a drug test. I don't know if it was piss, blood, whatever. I don't know. But he got the results back already. And it just says he was positive. He tested positive. For what we don't know, and you will not know until page 360. What page was it revealed that Rowan tested positive for something, you're wondering? Oh, I'm glad you asked. Give me a second. I thought I bookmarked it. Oh, I guess I did not. Alright, I'm going to assume it's chapter 12. Give me a second. I'll find it. One moment. Okay, so I missed a few bits because I checked. I finally found it. It was actually chapter 14, which is more upsetting. So I'm wrong. We finally find out he tested positive on page 111. But again, positive for what we don't know. We just know he tested positive. But, okay, so I changed the bullet points around. But also, Eli meets Rowan at one point Eli goes to Rowan's apartment, meets him, sees bruises from the grate that occurred. Okay? Sees that, it's like, what's going on? Rowan's like, I'm not talking to you about this, goodbye, whatever, closes the door. Eventually then, Eli meets Rowan at the school Rowan works at, and it's like, dude, you need to talk to me, what is happening, what is going on? Are you safe? Because something's clearly wrong here. And that's chapter 13. So Eli meets Rowan during chapter 13 at the school. During that conversation, they agree, okay, we'll meet later on tonight at Rowan's apartment. So chapter 13, 14, and 15 primarily all occur within the span of 24 hours. Okay? Chapter 14, Rowan finds out he tested positive for something. At that point, then Marcus shows up. He breaks into Rowan's apartment and commits horrible DV. And basically is like, I hope Eli finds you. I hope he finds your, body. I hope he... As well, like, it's what? Because this is where I have another issue, and I'll get into this as well with, like, the characters. Why is Marcus, like, this whole cartoon level villain? Like, none of his reasoning for why he does what he does makes sense, because it changes often. Like, at one point it's alluded to, like, the boss won't be happy that there's loose ends. But then when you look him up on LinkedIn, because Eli does that at one point, it was like, this guy's committing, like, financial crimes. Because that also occurs. Mind you, Eli looks Marcus up on LinkedIn during these 10 chapters. But no, so then chapter 15, Rowan has to, Eli shows up to Rowan's apartment because he was tired of waiting for Rowan to talk to him, be like, come over. Shows up, Mrs. Kavanaugh, Rowan's neighbor. It's like, I heard horrible things, Marcus left, what's going on? He finally gets in, sees Rowan's in bad shape, and drags him to the hospital. That's all in the span of allegedly 1 week. All of this stuff allegedly occurs within the span of 1 week. And there are still major plot points I'm leaving out. That's the worst part. And why I'm saying, like, it's so confusing. Because, again, it's allegedly in chapter 7, we're finding out that, like, oh, this dinner that Rowan, Marcus, and Eli have together is supposed to be, like, his goodbye dinner because Eli's about to go back to London. But then, that's chapter 7. We have 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. 7 more chapters to go till Eli shows up the same day he's allegedly, like, we're going to just have our final conversation. I'm going to go back to London. Hopefully everything's fine. Because, like, I don't want to end on bad terms with my friends. And finds Rowan in bad shape. All that occurs in 10 chapters. This all allegedly occurs within the span of 1 week. What is this timeline? Because it gets even more confusing because we're given no indication that time is moving. What time it is, when it is, nothing. We're giving no indication. I think that's partly why the first half of the book upset me so much. And then that brings us to the second main point I have, which is the police. Why? Why? Because, okay, chapter 15, this is when they're first introduced. First introduced in chapter 15, they're there in just literally just chapter 15, and they don't reappear again until chapter 33. Mind you, chapter 15, Eli just took Rowan to the hospital because he's in horrible shape, and we find out he has multiple cracked ribs, he had to get stitches, the whole 9 yards. He is in bad shape. Like, he basically, like, any day was going, if he wait like another hour or so, he would have been gone. Like, it wasn't good. The police only speak to Eli, and they state because at the time when they show up in chapter 15, Rowan is unconscious at the time. He is not awake, he is not aware, he is not present. They said they would come back later to speak with Rowan. So their friend, the person who was there, it's Charlie, another person they went to school with forever ago, like 15 years ago. Charlie sees Eli, does a little communication, takes a quick little report. That's it. He states multiple times, I'll be back later when Rowan is awake and aware, and I'll get his statement. Never does. Never does. Nothing. Nothing. It's also made clear that Mrs. Kavanaugh, Rowan's neighbor, heard everything as well. Police don't talk to her either. They get no statement from her either. So they only get one statement and then bugger off for over 15 chapters and don't reappear again until chapter 33, where again, Marcus is now being some cartoon level ass villain. So we have chapter 15. So from between chapter 15 and chapter 33. Let me get into this because, again, this gets into like my third point, which is what are these characters? What are these characters doing? So between chapter 15 and 33, Marcus becomes more unhinged. He's sending insane text messages and phone calls both to Rowan and Eli, basically making multiple insane threats against their life. Why? For what purpose? Why? Again, and this is where it gets weird because you have voicemails and you have text messages and you don't do anything with it. You don't say anything about it. You don't... Nothing? And, like, I get it. Yes, been there, done that. I've been in horrible situations with DV. You don't feel safe talking to the police. I am very much aware of that. I get that mentality. I am not trying to change that. I understand. But this is where it gets weird. And why I'm like, if the threats never... you didn't have the threats in writing or a voicemail, then yes, I can understand not wanting to go to the police. But you have multiple. You have him on video because Eli at one point puts up a security camera right next to the front door of Rowan's apartment and catches Marcus trying to break in multiple times. You see him threatening Mrs. Kavanaugh. You see him on camera attack Eli. And you tell no one. And this is like where it's a two-part thing, because one, why is Marcus this way? Because none of it makes sense. We're not given any motive, not given any reason. None of the characters make sense. They are all incredibly hollow. And that's also part of like another major point I want to touch on. I'll touch on that finally. Because like I still want to touch on part 2 and 3, which is the police. The police are not utilized at all. They don't show up again until chapter 33, and they're only used in chapter 33, 34, 35, and a small portion of chapter 36. So they're only used realistically, given everything that's occurring, for 5 chapters, and that's being generous, despite everything that's going on. Because when we get to chapter 33, when they show up again, Marcus has gone full-blown zany cartoon villain. He's just like, he sneaks up behind Rowan at one point, knocks him out, drags him into his car, takes Rowan to some random park, and holds him up in some random building. At Pew Pew Point. Because yes. Because yes. Yeah, why not? Why not? Why not? Why? What was your motive? And it changes, because one minute he's like, I don't want loose ends. Then it goes to the boss doesn't like loose ends. Dude, are you schizophrenic? Do you have multiple personalities? Like, what is going on? And that's even like something that was joked about in a chapter. Like, is this guy some like Jekyll Hyde shit? What is this? What is Marcus going through? Because again, one moment Marcus is very much like, everything's fine. I don't like loose ends. I don't like loose ends. I should have got rid of you when I had the chance. You're just a cockroach. I should have gotten rid of you. Then it changes to, the boss doesn't like loose ends. So are you part of a team? Was this like a scheduled hit? Was this like planned? Like, it doesn't make sense. Because you will have one chapter completely contradict another. And it just keeps going. There's no consistency. And again, that's another point I'll touch on later. But with Marcus in particular, nothing makes sense. Why is he this way? What is the reasoning? What is the reasoning? And it's even weirder because in chapter 2, it's alluded to that he works at the school. Because he works in the office at the school. Again, that's kind of what is alluded to in chapter 2. But then it's, oh, he just works somewhere else entirely, in a completely different building, completely different job, a completely different whatever. So I'm like, do Rowan and Marcus not work in the same building? Do they not work together? Are they not co-workers? Like, I don't get it. Because, again, I don't know what's going on. Like, at all. Because, again, chapter 2, it makes it seem like he is a financial, like, not financial, like he's like HR or something at the school. Then later on, it's like, especially after the whole LinkedIn thing that Eli finds out, it seems like, oh, he's just some financial advisor working elsewhere. But if he's working elsewhere as a financial advisor, why was it alluded to that he worked at the school in chapter 2? Did you make what? And this is why I have so many. I'm so confused. I really am. Because I don't understand anything. I don't understand who Rowan is. I don't understand who Eli is, truthfully. Because it's like, Rowan, we know from chapter 2 outright, I have always loved Eli. I have loved him since the first day I met him in year 10 of school. I've loved him since then. I've wanted to be with him forever. Like, simple as that. Eli doesn't realize that he liked Rowan until like chapter 5, 6, 5 or 7, something like that, because Eli's chapters are the odd numbers, so it's like 5 or 7, something like that. But then later on in the books, I'll say it's like around page 360, that's when Eli's like, oh, I knew I loved you since I found you like that on the floor, and I was absolutely scared to lose you. Alluding to chapter 15. So did you not say you loved him in chapter 5? Did you not say, like, yeah, not verbally, but like, did you not say to yourself that you loved him in chapter 7? Like one of those? Like, which is it? Like, the characters contradict themselves in what they stated prior. And again, back to Marcus. I'll stay on Marcus real quick. Marcus, out of nowhere, for no reason, there's no reason given, is holding Rowan at pew-pew point, just like, you gotta go. You gotta go. You made me the villain. Like, yeah, I did what I did, but I did what I did because you provoked me to. I just wanted to be a good person. I just wanted to take care of you. You can't take care of yourself, so I have to do it for you. I need to be there to hold your hands and take care of you. And just, you know, make sure you can get shit done in your life. I'm like, what? You're saying that Rowan made you a villain because he didn't like the fact that you raped him? What? You're saying, Marcus is saying that Rowan made him a villain because Marcus was taking Rowan's money from their joint account. What? What? And mind you, they made the joint account in that same chapter. Rowan's cards are being declined at any place he goes to because there's no money in the account now because Marcus took it all. He can't access the account online because Marcus changed all the passwords and everything as well. So at that point, again, in like chapter, 8, 10, something like, chapter 10, everything just is like screwed financially for Rowan. But again, it's never made clear how long they've been in a relationship together. Is it 2 weeks? Is it 9 months? Is it 84 years? Like, no clue. No clue. Just a couple months. That's all it says. It's a few months. We've been dating for a few months. What was Marcus's MO? What was Marcus's MO? What was his MO? I don't know. I don't know. And it stresses me out. What was his MO? What? Nothing. But, like I said, in chapter 33, Marcus becomes this whole evil cartoon villain. Mrs. Kavanaugh only appears like every so often. We have a random throwaway character, Tom, who just shows up randomly in like the early chapters. And this is, like I said, we're getting into like the third major point. The issue with the characters. I was touching on it a lot with Marcus. I'll touch on it now with like everyone else because none of the characters are safe from this critique. Tom appears randomly and talks to Eli at one point and was just like, hey, yeah, Rowan is acting really weird lately. He doesn't talk to anyone. He just sits in his office, like in his classroom, just staring at his computer, not doing anything, but just staring at it. And it's like, he's been that way ever since him and Marcus got together. So, like, we have Tom outright admitting, in, like, one of the early chapters, like, maybe chapter 12 or 11. Because, remember, Eli is on the odd chapters. So, probably, like, chapter 11 or 13. That Rowan is acting weird because of Marcus. Tom never appears anymore ever again. Mrs. Kavanaugh appears like maybe 6 times throughout the entire book. And that's being generous. It could be a little bit more. Maybe somewhere between 6 and 12 times, give or take. But, like, I'm talking, like, actual appearances, not just, like, her name is mentioned. Like, she actually appears and makes a conversation. Charlie, the police officer, he appears in chapter 15. chapter 34, because he actually makes a real appearance in 34. It's just regular police officers in 33. He appears in 34, and he appears in chapter 35. That's it. Never again. Never again. The other police officer, because chapter 35, 35 and 36, Eli and Rowan go to the police station. They talk to two police officers to give their full statements on everything that happened in chapter 32 and 33, where Marcus did his whole cartoon villain arc. The other police officer is not named. They're just there. It's just some female officer. That's all. That's all. No name. No nothing. We have another character appear twice. Finn. He's a kid. He's one of Rowan's students. He appears in chapter 32. And then I think he appears in like chapter 37, 38. Something like that. But again, never again after that. The entire story is primarily the only real characters that are consistent in the entire book are Rowan and Eli. That's it. And most of the book takes place in Rowan's apartment. What it looks like, I don't know. There's no description. What does the town look like? I don't know. There's no description. What does the hotel look like? No description. What does London look like? No description. What does Eli's apartment in London look like? No description. Nothing. So we have two consistent characters in a world that is blank. Every other adjoining character is just, they exist, but there's nothing to them. There's no substance. There's no value. There's no anything. They just simply exist. And again, Rowan and Eli are not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. They're one of the better characters, but not by much. They're better than Marcus, not just because Marcus is some cartoon villain, but because Marcus has nothing of substance to him. It's just, we meet him in first in chapter 2, then we see him consistently afterwards, and up until chapter 8, 10, whatever, he's just a little controlling. He's not great. Obviously, he does force himself on Rowan at one point. Marcus forced himself on Rowan. Like, he's not some cartoon, mustache-twirling villain. But then, randomly, it's just like, he's sitting there. Just assume this is my wine glass. He's just sitting at the table watching Rowan drink, just like, you want more? Yeah. What? 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 Like, this had me so stressed. The amount of times I wanted to DNF this book. I think I first wanted to DNF the book about like the 30% mark. I pushed through. Then I finally sat it down. I was like, I don't want to touch this anymore when I got to like the 62% mark, because I just kept lying to myself thinking, you know what, maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll get better. Maybe it'll get better. 62% mark, I put it down, I went to sleep. Woke up the next day. It is, August 15th right now. As you can see, August 15th. 10:30. Oh my god. Oh my gosh. There you go. 10:30. August 15th. I finished it today. I didn't want to. I spent majority of my morning just sitting there looking at, going like, I don't want to touch it. I don't want to touch it. I'm like, I'd rather do anything else. I'm like, I'd rather have my tonsils removed with Typhoid Mary's razor. Like, that to me sounded more pleasurable than reading this book. I was so annoyed because I couldn't follow anything. And that's not to say, like, I'm a bad reader. That's not to say, like, I'm unintelligent. That's not to say, again, this is, let me repeat this if you made it this far. This is not an attack on the author. This is their debut novel, and I'm 99.99% sure my debut novel is going to be god-awful. I know, and that's fine. No author is going to, when they publish their very first book, is guaranteed a smash hit. It is very fucking rare that that happens. Not every author on their very first book is going to write the amazing piece of art. That doesn't always happen, and that's fine. I'm aware of that. I'm an author. I'm writing. I'm trying to write a few novels at this time, but I also accept the fact I'm not writing art. It's not going to be the best book ever, and I'm okay with that. You learned from your mistakes. So again, this is not me shitting on the author. This is me giving a detailed review because I'm so sad. This book had so much potential. I think that's the part that has me so upset. This book has so much potential. It just needed either more editing in the sense of just fine-tune details or add more context. Because again, as I mentioned, in chapter 14, we find out Rowan tested positive. His drug test tested positive for something. Chapter 14. We don't find out what that positive was until chapter 36. I mean, page 360. We don't find out what he tested positive for. And yes, it said a drug test. That could have been anything. It could have literally been anything. Like, yes, it is implied what it was, but still. It could have been anything. Plus, also, again, I don't know about you, but I at least know if I was to go get any type of, like, medical test done where I get printed paperwork delivered to me after the test is conducted. I don't know about you, but I'm not getting a full toxicology report, you know, something like that in one day. And yes, maybe that's just an example of how, like, the American healthcare system, but, like, more often than not, like, if you want something like an extensive lab report done, because again, it doesn't state what kind of, like, yes, it's a drug test, but, like, what kind of drug test? Was it blood or was it piss? Like, what? Because you typically don't get a full-blown toxicology report done and brought back until, you know, that takes days, typically. Like, maybe, like, 24, 48 hours, but, like, not, like, one day, not the same day. Like, that's not same-day delivery. So, like, that's what I'm like, there's so many issues. The entire world is flat. There is no world. I'm just gonna be honest. There's no world. There's no point. There's, like, no point made. And, like, the most romantic part, and, like, I will get to this part as well, because this book does say it has a spicy scene. Bitch. Catch the slow blink. That was the most rated PG spicy scene I have ever read. It wouldn't say cog, it wouldn't say penis, it wouldn't say butt, ass, nothing. Nothing. No bodily parts mentioned at all, in any way, any capacity. No climax, organ, nothing. Nothing. It was 5 pages of, he touched me. Oh, I like that. He touched me there. Oh, he gave me a kiss. He did this. Like, what is happening? Are we playing with Barbie dolls? Like, are we just, like, bumping purses? Like, what is happening? And after I finished reading, I went onto Goodreads, and I saw one review that was like, this had an amazing spicy scene. Bitch, where? Bitch, where? Because I didn't see it at all. I didn't see any spicy scene. I didn't. I saw two bottoms bumping purses in the most PG, Mormon-ass described way possible. It was just simply, I got touched in this way. He touched my chest. He touched my leg. He touched my hand. That's not a spicy scene, sweetheart. There was nothing. Like, I'm not saying you have to write filth. I've read some depraved shit. I am not a saint. I'm aware. But that was bad. So, yeah, that is just my review. Like, I have so many thoughts. I may write everything out in greater detail and post it on my Substack, especially if you made it this far. But, like, this is my review. I'm sorry. Again, this is, if you made it this far, I'm going to reiterate again. This is no hate to the author. Okay? Again, this is the cover. The book I'm talking about is Every Way Back to You. This is no hate to the author. Okay? This is no hate to the author. No hate. Let's get this clear. So do not tag the author. Do not direct hate to the author. This is my opinion. Okay? Okay? But I wanted to share my opinion because, one, I wanted to make book content, so Mary Chrysler. But, like, I just have to be honest. That's all. I have to be honest. And like I said, I wasn't happy. I'm sorry. But it is what it is. So yeah, that's my review. Thank you all so much if you made it this far, because God knows how long this video is going to be. I'm sorry. Love you all. Have a wonderful night. Talk to you guys later. Bye.